Please welcome to the first edition of the Arbitrary Opinions based on the ideas of the common people. Today we are hosting a debate based on the ongoing or the proposed project of dredging the Naam River. And this has created an outcry from South Sudanese across the world, and more especially on social media. So today we managed to bring youth together, youth with different ideas, different perceptions of the project. So I have two tech teams who are proposing and opposing the motion. I am Mr. Yordu Dakej, the host for the debate. I already have my guests together with me here, and I'll give them a session of introduction, and we'll start the show. Please welcome on the show.
Thank you, Dude. Hello, everybody. I am Sorolo Jogudu. I am co-founder of South Sudan Activist Forum. I am here to oppose against the dredging of the Naam River and the resumption of the Jongole Canal. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello again. My name's Garkwad Luluhok. I'm a co-founder of the same organization you mentioned earlier, and I am offering my full support of the dredging of the Naam River in Unity State.
Well, hello everybody. I'm by the names of Kudngar. Well, I'm in full support of the same reason as why we're here. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be over here with you guys.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Madil Jogdit. I'm a student of law, University of Juba. And this evening I will be opposed to the idea of dredging of River Naam and the potential resumption of Jonglei Canal.
All right, welcome back once again. You've heard from them, and it wouldn't be to hear different ideas as we go into the debate. To have a very short summary on why we're here today, we need to first know about Naam River. Who knows anything about the River Naam?
Thank you again. I'll give you a brief introduction of the Naam River. Naam River is one of the Nile tributaries that you can find in Unity State, and it's come a long way from Congo, not Lake Victoria, or from the Nile. It's contributing to the Nile. Then it comes from Congo, then going to the Low River, then going to the Key River, and then going to Lake No, where it can go and meet with the White Nile, then to the Nile. So that's the Nile, that's the Naam River we are talking about evening. And if you can go to Unity State now, you can find that the Naam River is running out of space. It is no longer a river, it is just a little bit canal that you can just pass through. It used to be deep, but now it is just a small part of just a water flow.
Okay, anybody with a different idea? Mostly the opposers of show. Okay. All right. I'll start with the proposers. Why do you think dredging of the Naam River is a great idea? We can start with him.
Okay. Well, the reason just why I think this is a better idea, it's because when we look back in Jonglei State, let me give an example of that. Like there have been a lot of outcries over there about the floodings. A lot of people have been displaced, of which when I saw this opportunity, I was like, yeah, why don't we give it a try as South Sudan? It's solving these issues. So I would love to support it this way. When this exercise is carried on, I'm very 100% sure that there will be no more floodings, yeah, there will be no more floodings over this, and people will get to live peacefully. Yeah.
All right. The opposers. Why do you think it's not a great idea?
Nabil, you want to take one?
You can come first, no problem.
I mean, like, we have flooding and we have dredging. What is dredging? The situation at hand is there is flooding, but this is not the issue. If we have looked at the genesis of why we wanted to drag River Naam, the issue was, I mean, there was a communication from one of the institutions of government that we wanted to ease transportation of crude oil from the source to the refinery. And I think the issue is not that they wanted to ease the flooding. They wanted to remove the flooding. They wanted to ease the transportation of the crude oil. And when you look at the situation that we are in as a country, the locals where this oil is extracted from, they are not benefiting. They have not even been benefiting before the flooding. They have not even been benefiting from the extraction of the crude oil. So I don't understand why we are supporting. Because they are actually not after eradicating flooding. So I wanted us to come back to who is supporting, who is funding this project. This project is more political, but it's not even benefiting us as a country. This project is benefiting Egypt.
Okay.
And we have had communications. We have seen documents floating in social media. Waniga signing something before 2022. I mean 2021, and we were not put on picture as citizens of this country on what is going on. So we are just surprised to see that there is already machines coming in to drag the Naam River. Well, as people who oppose this process, we said there are alternatives. And I think my brother Mabil will come in with that. But we know that this is just a political move and it's not going to benefit our citizens in the name of flooding. For us, this is what we think. And for you have seen dude, you have seen in the South Sudan Activist Forum, we said stop the resumption of Jonglei Canal and stop the dragging of the Naam River, because we simply knew that this is a political game. It doesn't benefit people who are in the flood.
Okay, let me just comment. Let me ask you something simple. Let me just ask him. Despite the political game going on, as you said, how about the situation in the place? Like, there is a real situation of flood.
Before I came here 2 hours ago, I said, why is Unity able to sustain militants? Unity is sustaining militants. Militant groups, they are government forces. There are people fighting in that flooded area. How are they able to move with their militaries?
Okay, stop.
Without a tracking.
Okay, come on in.
Okay. Just to put some clarity. Before we even speak about dredging the Naam River and even resuming Jonglei Canal, the first thing that we must establish here is, where is the idea of dredging coming from? Why must we resume Jonglei Canal? Because we know Jonglei Canal, on record, is not a South Sudanese idea from the beginning, back to 1983. And as we speak presently, we do not deny that there are floods happening in Unity State, in Jonglei State, or let's say in the entire Afro Nile region. That is a material fact. We do not deny that. But then the idea is this. Dredging the river is not even a government plan. It's not an initiative of the government. You have already seen the division in the government itself, where the Ministry of Water and Environment has clearly come out that the project is a national project, and then you have seen another ministry somewhere coming to oppose the same idea. That sort of disunity alone sends a very clear message to South Sudanese that this process is something that is devious and must be condemned. To just wrap it up, any national project that's coming from the government must be vetted by the parliament. This is what happens. Before you even begin to send in the equipment from Egypt or Sudan, it has to go through some processes. And that process means it has to go through the parliament, it has to be a proposition from the ministry that is concerned. And then now you also have to conduct some popular consultation. I mean, from the locals themselves. Do they think this is a good idea? We can say, oh yeah, there's floodings, people are dying, there are animals. That's some story, because this is a climatic change. And it's happening everywhere. It's not just South Sudan that is issues of the flood, but you see, flooding alone cannot just be addressed through dredging. There are a lot of processes, and one of those processes is not the best process is not dredging. There are a lot which we can come up to later.
All right. Look.
First of all, I want to give them facts that they are missing, especially my colleagues Soro and Mabil. If we are talking about the dredging, maybe they are missing out the real meaning of the dredging we are talking about. It is different from resumption of digging of the Jonglei Canal. It is totally different. When we talk about the dredging, we are meaning that if there is an existing river and it is running out of ways where the water can flow, then you remove the dirt. That's the meaning of dredging, okay? And it's not like it's a new thing. It happened in 1963, and it was carried out by a certain company, American company called Chevron Company, okay? That was 1965, after the Great Flood that even victimized my own great-grandfather. If you might have heard of him, the Sultan River, okay? Yeah. He died in those unfortunate floodings, okay? And it happened in 1992, the same company, okay? Then in 2012, it was signed. I have the document. You can find it at the dredgingtoday.com. It was reported by the Sudan Tribune on the March the 2nd, 2012, and the project was $26 million. Okay, that was 2012, and it was interrupted by the conflict of 2013. It was to be done in 2012. As we are speaking now, I have the document, and I will share with them later. And at the time, William Gadjanging was the Minister of the Environment in Unity State. That's clear. And throughout of this dredging, this is going to be the fifth dredging that will be carried out in Unity State.
On the Naam River.
Exactly. So what is the mistake? It has always been happening.
This would be the first as an independent country.
Okay.
No, it's going to be the second.
The second?
Okay.
It is going to be the second.
Let me comment.
It's going to be the second because it was done in 2012.
We ran out of time and,
it was done in 2012, and then this is going to be the second.
Okay.
That's going to happen in 2022.
Well, let me just ask you something small, as the proposer. Do you think this is 100% South Sudanese benefit, or we have something to give up to it?
Well, I cannot say it is 100% South Sudanese benefit, but I know it's going to serve the people of Unity State. They have been going through a lot for the past 3 years, and this is the only reason, and this is the only mean that they are going to survive. I've seen most of the opposers. They are saying that let's move these people out of their land. It's not going to happen. We are not going to abandon this place because of the flooding, which we have been solving with the same solution. If they are bringing anything else, let's talk about it in the next 5 years. Let me tell you another fact. If you are not going to implement this dredging, we are not going to talk about the water anymore, because the River Nile will just, end up being an Iceland, because the water are not moving.
Okay.
So implement the project.
Okay, just be brief.
Okay. You see, what my proposal is trying to make us look like is that we do not have a clear idea on what it actually means to dredge. But you see, what he doesn't get, he's lecturing us about some history of a company and all these other stories. One thing my colleague doesn't know is that all these things that happened in the past, whether they happened in the 1960s or recently in 2012, they were not initiative of the South Sudanese people. But even if that was the fact, even if they were initiated by South Sudanese, he does not provide statistics on how these processes were undertaken by the people. And then again, just because it happened for the last 20 years or even 15 years, does not mean it was the right process. You see, he's trying to say that the records show this is something that happened 1900 years ago. We do not even deny that. But then again, who proposed the idea? He's talking about the fact that unity state has suffered. But you see, this is not a problem of unity state alone. This is a national issue. And he wants to make it something that belongs to the people of unity state, or let's say Jonglei state. This is a South Sudanese crisis. We are looking at the fact that when this river is being dredged, there are a lot of material environmental factors that we will live to regret as South Sudanese people. And this is the reason we are saying, as the opposition of this process, that anything that is involving South Sudanese must be an idea that is coming from South Sudanese people. But we have seen even the equipment coming from Egypt and Sudan. These are the beneficiaries of the dredging and any possible resumption of Jonglei Canal. Why are the Sudanese and the Egyptians themselves, why are they one proposing the idea? Why must they be the one to fund it?
Yeah,
this is the problem.
That's one of the questions I was going to ask.
Yes, the thing is missing out. I don't know who is more South Sudanese than the other. I don't know if the Ministry of Water is not a ministry that is under the leadership of South Sudan. It is not like it's the first time. It has always been happening. I don't know why it's missing out. 2012 was, if he doesn't know, was after the independence. Our independence was in the July 9, 2011. And if there's any process that happened after that, it was a South Sudanese own project. Okay? And it happened in 2000.
Okay, and who is behind this project, the current project? Because we cannot go back to history and talk about what happened in the past.
It is a memorandum of understanding between the government of South Sudan, led by the Ministry of Water and the Egyptian government.
Okay.
Can I come?
I don't know.
Can I come in?
I don't know what's wrong between South Sudanese having a relationship with another.
We have an issue in this country. We have an issue in this country where people do not have the right to say what they wanted to say about their lives. And this is the truth about what is happening in communities affected by the flood.
And let me remind him, he's saying the government is comprising of many ministries, and that if the idea comes from the Ministry of Water and Environment, you see, Lulo, what you don't understand is that yes, the government may have that composition, but the ministry has officials, and just because they sit down and draft some agreement with some Egyptian doesn't mean it's something that is being approved by the South Sudanese people. And the representative of the South Sudanese people are not technically politicians, they are parliamentarians, and maybe the president. These are appointees of the government. They do not have the best interest of the South Sudanese. It doesn't matter who is proposing the idea. So long as it didn't go to parliament, we do not agree with anything.
And to conclude, before you come in, Lulho, the idea that the current government that you think is pro the people of unity state is supporting the idea for dredging the Naam River is a political lie. It is not going to benefit the people of unity state, people who are affected by the flooding. It is going to benefit those who are going to transport the oil, the crude oil, to the refinery site.
All right.
And
let's just make this one short.
And I have another.
And before you come in, Mabil, I want to ask a simple question. When was the last time when our own South Sudanese got affected with this flooding issue, and government went in full force the way they went in with this project to support the people affected with the flooding? When was that last time? I think Lulo has to give us details.
Just to sum it up, Lulo, just a minute.
It happened in 1963.
Just to sum it up.
It happened in 1963. The flood.
After independence.
There had never been a flood after the independence. Tell me when was the last time?
The flooding we had 60 years ago.
It's different, right?
It's the one that we had now.
And now our government.
Now, this flooding that we had. What has the government done?
Now, I'm telling you the answer.
Just a minute.
Excuse me, Mabil. Excuse me. We never had a flooding just like this after our independence directly, but as a person who is now bearing the pain I know we have women who are going through so many bad things, like especially the pregnant women, the girls who are going through like menstrual pain, all women. A lot of crisis happening in this state. If you think this, I believe that this dredging will reduce and mitigate the flooding, because I know
What is the loss it gives? Like, what is the
listen?
gives?
Just a minute.
The loss I know is that it will reduce the fact that the fish are always inside our houses. It will take them back to the river. The loss is that the snakes that are biting our people, they will go back to the river. That's the loss.
So is that the loss?
Exactly. This is the loss they are afraid of.
What is the loss?
You see what he's doing, what Lulong is trying to project here. He's coming up with an emotional blackmail on the South Sudanese people. Probably the number we have in Unity State is not 2 million South Sudanese. There are South Sudan as...
So you are ready to sacrifice South Sudan?
That's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying.
Let him talk.
Let me help.
He's willing. No, you are willing that let the South Sudanese that are in Unity State, let them die out of flood.
That's not what I'm saying.
Because they're not 2 million.
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying Unity State does not have people that are suffering. I admit that is a fact. There have been people that suffered probably for the last 2, 3, 5 years. That is a fact. But then what I'm trying to propose is this. There are solutions. Unity State is the largest oil producing state in South Sudan. They have 5% share of the oil revenue. That percentage needs to be doubled by the government and provide some alternative to the flooding. How do you solve flooding?
What are the alternatives you're giving?
That's what I'm coming to. What is the alternative of flooding? We have seen in many countries in Europe, we have seen in many countries, even here in Africa, that have suffered severe flooding. And what is the best way? Dig canals. And dig dams to store water as a government. Provide as enough budget to the local government in Unity State to be able to facilitate the process of retaining floods from spoiling the peoples and their lives. So what he's trying to say here is just because people are suffering right now does not mean we need to be blind to what happens in the next 10 to 20 years. Because the current South Sudan is not the South Sudan we will have in the next 25 years.
To build on Mabil's point.
It's already 57 years after the first dredging of the Naam River.
What is the effect of the dredging, like you're saying?
The effects of dredging, I'm telling you. Now, what will happen, you see, Sud region is the largest wetland in Africa. It has millions of animals that it has. So these millions of animals, once you start dredging the River Naam, it doesn't end with it alone, because River Naam has tributaries, as some water sources that contribute to it. Yeah. So when you dredge it, all the water flows from River Naam all the way to Sudan and Egypt. What would happen? The ecosystem that is contained within the Naam and by extension, the Sud region will suffer. They will probably move away if they're animals. If they're fishes, then they will die within. And then what would happen? We'll have lost like millions of revenues, millions of revenues that will help even develop South Sudan in the next 5-10 years. Because you know what, we have the potential to get money from tourism out of the ecosystem that is being inhabited right now in the Sud region. So what he's trying to say here is we are suffering, yes, I don't deny that, but the government is there. Let them provide money and equipment that, you see, and we don't want even Egypt to come in the face of this, because these are people that has bad history with us. They have been imperialists. They colluded with Britain to subjugate South Sudanese, and that the very people coming right now to tell us that they want to treat that well after they marginalize us.
I wanted to answer.
It is from your colleague.
Yeah, it's from him.
I wanted to ask, before you come in, so that you build up on that story.
There's something I want to contribute.
You build up on what Mabil said.
You're highly welcome.
We have stories of armed people displacing people, even in these flooding areas. I am asking a question here. How possible is it that you are able to sustain militias? Government forces are able to move to militia areas, and militias are able to fight within these flooding areas if you cannot sustain livelihood of mere civilians, and you think that the problem is flooding and you wanted to direct.
Okay, let me answer you briefly. Remember, the peace agreement we are implementing now was signed in 2018. Okay, and throughout it has been implementing. Tell me, when was the last time this much of a chaos has always been happening? If it was not between the IO and the Haji, since that they have agreed that let's move our country together, but because of the flooding, the grazing land,
the flooding is able to sustain these people until now we are seeing active agencies.
Excuse me. Because there is no enough land in Unity State, water raid every space we can get, people are congested, and then there's violence. Because there's no enough space to feed the animals.
That's what we're saying.
Excuse me.
Let's not get so political.
Excuse me.
It's not
political.
Excuse me. Let me get it.
Political.
Excuse me.
Just get it.
I completely understand his fear because of the environmental and stuff. I wonder when was the last time he was an environmentalist, because if I have to talk about the history, this is not the first time the dredging is happening. It happened 57 years ago. Excuse me.
We told you just because it happened.
It happened
20 years ago.
57 years ago, and I have never seen this Sud wetland runoff water. It happened in 2010. It happened in 2012. It happened in 1992. When was the last time we are running out of water because of the dredging? This is not. It's not like that.
We had drought in '98. We had drought in '98. One of the worst in South Sudan.
What was
drought
the
in
problem with
'98.
drought?
What was the cause of that?
What was a drought?
Perhaps,
and it was in Unity.
because of dredging in Unity State. 1998, we had serious drought that left South Sudanese to die like animals.
I gave you time the time you were bottling. Okay, this is my
You're talking
space.
1962.
Okay. You're talking
Because
about
you're trying to lie to us, Lulo. Listen, Lulo.
This is my space.
Because you're trying to lie to us.
He was
Okay.
talking about the life of the animal we are going to lose
comment.
along the way.
Let's
Excuse me.
comment.
Excuse me.
Okay.
He was talking about the life of the animal we are going to lose, the fish, the snakes, and crocodiles. But I'm talking about the life of the people of Unity State,
Okay.
the people of Nile that are
Do
suffering.
you think this is the only way we can solve floods?
It is the solution at hand now. If there's any way,
And that's exactly where you get it wrong. That's where you get it wrong, Lulok. That's not.
It's
not
not
the only
like
thing on the table.
It is not like the flood happened today or yesterday.
Listen,
it's
Lulu.
happened like 3 years ago.
Listen,
when were
Lulu.
you when the time people of Unity State have been suffering?
That is why we are asking the government.
When were you?
That's why we're saying the government of Unity State
has always
should
been working.
Listen,
they tried
Lulo,
they tried the
Lulo,
dike. Let me
Lulo,
tell you,
Lulo.
they tried the dike. I shared a video yesterday. If you are
listen,
keen enough
Lulo,
to follow
Lulo,
the
Lulo.
story.
Can I come in?
Let me-
They
I just want to
tried to
help
work
him.
on a dike. If
He's
you don't know
making a
dike,
point.
this is mad.
You're making a point. You're making a point, and I want to agree with you. We admit, yes, it has happened for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And they have been working.
Wait,
they
I'm
started
telling you.
dike.
Let me come
Unity
to
State
it.
started
Let me
the
come to
dike.
it.
And
I want to
it's
help
not
him.
working.
I want to help him.
It's not working.
You see, when
The
we
water
have,
are
listen,
running it.
Lulo, when we have a national disaster, when we have a national disaster like floodings and anything that is insecurity or anything that makes the life of people to really look bad, you don't just rush into a process. Unity State as representative in the parliament. Unity State has a lot of citizens that are very concerned and that really have a lot of feelings for the people. So what I'm trying to say here is, if we have a problem, why don't you propose it? The government, I said, of 5% that is generated from the oil revenue in Unity State. Why don't you use that money to help the people?
Okay, what other way?
Moderator,
They have tried the
The dike, it is not
They've tried
working.
the dikes.
Moderator,
not
dude.
working.
They have
Moderator,
already...
dude. First of all,
dig the canals, build dams.
Mabe.
These are the processes we have seen in the West.
What's the
Mabe.
difference between the digging the canal and dredging the
It's
Can I-
not
can
the
I
same
come in?
because you see
Moderator.
dredging. You're allowing.
Let me come in, let me come in, let me come in.
Listen,
you're
what he
yes.
doesn't get is this. What he doesn't get
Let
is
me
this.
come in.
When you are dredging, you are allowing billions of volume of water to move away from where it is. Where is that billions of water going to? It's going to Egypt and Sudan to facilitate agronomy of the Egyptian and the Sudanese.
let me-
And they're the
let me-
beneficiaries.
let me come
So
in.
why would we allow our water? Which is the only thing we have left right now. Because I hear the oil is no longer there. The gold has been stolen. And what we have left right now is only water. Why do these people want to let it go? To our enemies, not even just to any other African country.
Let me come in. Let me come in. I think we want to bring this conversation into more of intellectual. We don't want to end up in a quarrel. We agree with Lulhog that as a victim of the flood, there is an issue. But we say this is a national disaster. And as my colleague Mabil said, we wanted to see if there is a process like what is proposed by the unity government. It has to be within the setting of how our governments operate. Because unity state working alone, we are trying to protect, this Nile do not come from nowhere. It doesn't start from unity state. It starts from even from where we are seated here. So there is no way that and people of unity state will start saying we wanted to open ways for the Nile, for this Naam River to flow water. Even soon we will see Congo coming out and say we don't support this idea of what? Of dredging Naam River. So there are alternatives, and some of the alternatives are we have in the Karamojong region, our neighbor here, they have started to create artificial rivers. What
Dams.
about
That's what I was
dams?
saying.
What about government creating, if it is the water that we wanted to accumulate? Even, by the way, water is one of the resources that is taken to oil. Maybe first to oil, Zato.
It's actually first. You don't make that mistake.
Can I come in?
So why do we prioritize the transportation of oil, and we said we wanted to allow this water move so that we can give way for
let's just end there. Let me come in. Over the few days, we have seen on social media, even everywhere around Juba here, people are trying to express mixed reaction to it. Like, even people from Unity State are reporting that it is not necessary to do the dredging. Why do you think people have different reactions to the motion?
Yeah, I understand why there's a different reaction on the process. It's either you want to be humanitarian or political, okay? People who are opposing to this motion or this project, they are totally political people. But people who base on the humanitarian and an environmental impact of the flooding, I understand why this thing must go on. Okay, I talked the other day to a certain lady who is a victim, who is a victim of flooding. It's a terrible story to hear, and you cannot just say that the Unity State doesn't have 2 million of people, so let's just leave them inside the water, let the water consume them, and then we'll inherit it. I understand. Politics of dividing, because our country is more tribal. You don't need to be violent or use force to erase a certain community. Anything that seems to be affecting them, you need to support it. I'm not accusing you, but there are.
That's exactly what you are doing.
No, I'm not accusing you because you are a disciple of someone who is a South Sudanese that we respect. And he has always been in a position suspending some of his stuff because they had a political opinion on a general stuff, and now he's leading a movement that we see can serve as South Sudanese, and he's objecting to it.
Listen, Lulo is getting it wrong.
I'm not getting it wrong.
Lulo is getting it wrong. He's trying to level accusations on people because he can't get it right.
Okay.
I'm not going to do it the way he's doing it.
It's not political.
You see, I'm not going to do it your way, Lulo. But let me tell him one thing.
Mabel, the truth of the matter is, this is a national crisis. Sometimes we see things from the lens of where we are affected with the problem. We don't see the bigger picture. As we are talking now, we are seeing a bigger picture where Lul Hawk and his community are involved as South Sudanese.
Okay. Let me just ask you. Lul Hawk is trying to propose an immediate response, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
It is in the best interest of our community.
It is true that people are suffering in the floods right now, and you are proposing building of dams, digging of canals that will actually. These are some of the ways we can reduce floods. Okay, these all need processes to implement them. What are you doing currently to respond to the disaster?
Very good. You see, what we are not understanding is that everything takes process. Even the current dredging he's speaking about started way back. The politicians have been meeting with the Egyptians, with the Sudanese, and they did it. So he's trying to say the current process is immediate because the equipment already in Unity State. That is cheating South Sudanese to even begin with. Why is he telling us about the fact that this is an immediate process, that it started way back? If they had seen it coming, if his people, if the parliamentarians in Unity State had seen it coming, if they foresaw that flood is something that is imminent, then they would have started with better processes, as I was proposing. Digging canal is not as expensive as having equipment coming from all the way from Egypt. Digging tunnels just for temporary basis, and you see even floods is temporary.
But then they didn't do it. They didn't do it.
That's a problem. I really sympathize with the people of Unity State and Jonglei State. I understand that they are suffering. That is something I feel bad about every day. But this is something temporary. We have seen worse than this as South Sudanese people. We have been in conflict for over 50 years as Sudan and over 21 years as South Sudanese people. This is something we can solve as South Sudanese. This is something that the government, we have money coming from the oil revenue. And thank God, Unity State.
It's going to take a lot of time. As of today, as we're talking now, it's going to take a lot of time. To implement the plan.
There is always a solution.
Dredging is always a solution.
I want to ask you a question.
But we want to say something here. We want to say, we are speaking here for the citizens of this country, that there is a problem with us as citizens, that we don't know that government has a responsibility to answer to our problem.
Exactly. I want to ask.
And one of the answer to our problem is to address the problem of flooding without dragging the Nile.
The Naam River.
The Naam River.
I agree with you.
It's not about dredging right now.
Dredging the Naam River.
I agree with you.
Listen.
I agree with you. Like, what more would you want if you don't want to agree?
If government want to divide us and put us like these are people, like these are Lulhok people, and this is Soro from Kajukeji. I come from Kajukeji, and they think that this is a problem of Lulhok versus Soro, or people who are
actually, this is an agenda coming from Lulhok.
We cannot allow government to do that.
This is Lulhok's agenda.
I understand that you are a patriotic citizen that want to see South Sudanese from Unity State to die, to continue dying.
Emotionally blackmailling.
Excuse me.
I'm trying to ask
emotional blackmail. Listen, not blackmail has Lulhok.
Allow him.
I want to ask you.
I'm moderating this debate.
Okay.
I'm moderating this debate.
I want to ask.
So let me ask him. It is that, what if they just close the deal today? They stop the dredging. What do you do to the people in the floods?
This country has a land bigger than the people.
Very good.
You get the point?
Yes.
Bigger than, like you move from behind this hill. You can move, 50 miles. You cannot get people in this space. We have refugees accommodated here from Ethiopia. How is it possible that we can accommodate refugees from Ethiopia?
No, like if you are addressing a problem like that.
No, you have always, listen. And you can start putting structures. We have seen countries in Asia. People are walking. People have houses built inside flooded areas, inside rivers.
Take an example of Netherlands. Very good.
Their structures can be built. We have the resources. I think the problem is governance, and the people of Unity State do not see that. We don't have a government that is responsive. We don't have a government that is responsive.
Soro. You see, you're making a mistake. I don't want to even generalize. It's the like of Lulhok and his company who are proposing this idea, and they're trying to make it look like it's a regional issue. The problem of dredging River Naam is a national concern. It extends way to Bahrelgazal.
What do you do about the nationals right now?
I'm telling you. If it is as dire as Lulhok is trying to project it, the government has money. Evacuate the population for now. And provide a solution to it. If it is as dire as that project, we can as well adapt.
Yes.
He's putting evacuation as one of the immediate responses.
If it is too serious, like he's saying.
Do you agree, like, evacuating people are affected right now to another place?
But even they have militias who are fighting communities.
Do you agree with that?
They have militias who are fighting communities inside the flooded areas.
The suggestion is not it's not realistic. It is unrealistic.
Okay.
Now imagine, like, especially people are even evacuating by themselves. It happened in Bor. They are evacuating themselves with their cattle. And what's happening in Equatoria? You have always been complaining about the violence going on.
That's something else. You see what he's saying?
You have always been complaining.
But do you admit, Lulhok, if we evacuate people,
we cannot.
Lulhok, do you admit if we evacuate the citizens of Unity State, do you think they can survive floods? Do you agree with that? If they are evacuated, can they survive from flooding?
No,
If the answer,
it is not going. It is not realistic.
why do you think it's not realistic? The government has money. The government has money. It can be done even in a day or two, or even in 1 week time. If the government wants to do it,
the question you're trying to tell me is that United States should surrender its land to the water.
That's not what I'm saying.
Because
this is a process.
Because for you,
this is a process, my brother.
Because for you, water and the oil. Because for you, water and the oil are the main. At the main focus for you.
Of course, you are going to always blackmail people. That's what you have been doing throughout the debate.
But listen, you don't understand. You don't understand because you don't know. You doesn't know the
Do you agree that if the government responses today
by evacuating
the people,
can they be saved?
Can they be saved?
It is not realistic.
That's not the answer, Lulo.
Happening.
Answer: can they be saved or not? Whether it's realistic is something else. Can they be saved or not? Whether it is realistic or sustainable is another issue. Do you think that can happen?
To another disaster.
I mean, the reason that they are buying that external idea of dredging the Naam River is that we are going to reduce the flooding, and the flooding is actually. People are already working inside that flooding. They have already adapted working into that flooding. We have had news of people fighting.
That's another way we can adapt as well if we don't want to evacuate the people of Unity State.
So let's do this now. Yeah. Anyway,
you can't adapt to that situation when they're kids.
They are living in there right now.
We're losing.
They're not living in like they're not going to schools. Like you are happy. The Unity State people are suffering.
Of course, Lulo, you're always going to blackmail. You don't have the points. You don't have anything fundamental around this.
Look at the points. Look at the points.
People are dying. Okay, we have died. You say we have lost millions of South Sudanese.
Like if you are not sympathetic,
we have always died. We have always died. But we cannot be blinded by the current situation.
Listen, you say that there's another solution. That is not realistic.
Let us be honest with ourselves. That is something we have seen for ages. We do not deny that people are dying, but that should not be the cause for doing something that's going to be regretted by South Sudanese for the rest of the life.
It has always been for the last 57 years.
That's what you are thinking. That's what you are thinking, Lulo.
And it has been helping our people for the last 7 years. 57 years. It happened like so many years ago.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you for that.
This is what we need to do every time. We need to generate ideas, and I don't want you guys to take it personal with you guys.
No, it's
not. All right.
We have always been doing this.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. All right, viewers, this is the first session of our debate. And we're still going to have more topics to talk about with different people or with the same people. So, good night.
Thank you.